Hey, Hans from Request for Music here, and I'm back with an update, or at least in the same update that the editor is in. There's also sources in external sources, and the external sources can be found here, the inputs at least, and apart from that, you have these mod inputs. They all can be found within the sources drop-down list, so you don't see that now. But if I zoom out just a tiny bit, you should be able to see that it's on the bottom, I think. Let's see, it's still not there. If I zoom out even more, you should be able to see that on the bottom of the list there's sources. Still not, jeez. On the bottom of that list there's sources 1 and sources 2. You'll have to believe that for now, because I cannot get them to show up. But the sources, what are they? Sources are external sources, so I can use an external sound source to put in there, and if I then go into my targets, then also in a part that you don't see, there's operator 1 source to up to operator 6 source, which means that you can use a monophonic audio sound to work instead instead of a normal operator for the polyphonic instrument. It is monophonic, so that means that you cannot play chords with it, but you can use it for different kinds of effects. So let's say that I have something like my rings module, so I put that in there, and I'm going to hook up my pitch, and I'm going to use my gate. And first of all, let's put this into the left or mono input, and I'll take these out. Come on. So you hear what that sounds like. So I'll put some more level. So this is rings, and it's obviously very and I'm not changing the level because it was outside of the screen. So okay, so this is my rings, and as you can hear, it is sounding pretty dull because there's no effect on it or whatever. But now, instead of going straight to my output, I'm going into the sources input onto source number 1, and I'm going to take this into my outputs again. And my mouse seems to have a problem sometimes. So it's in there. Need to use my source 1 input, so you see that it comes up there, and I'm going to source operator 1 source output, and as soon as I did that, you actually see that a yellow line comes up to show that there is an external source that is active at the moment. And this is my volume setting, so if I dial this up, I actually now have exactly the same sound as rings itself, but it's going straight through the DEXZ engine. So that also means that I can use my envelope editor to set the sort of behavior for that sound that I want. So maybe I want to have it last longer, and I can actually shift drag this, and I need some more release. So something like this. But that means that if I also set, and let's switch this off first, and let's create some sound for the polyphonic part of DEXZ, because I can do these chords obviously, and I can dial something like this up, but I don't want it that direct, so I'm going to my operator number 3, and I'm going to change the envelope for this. So I'm going to dial something like this. I can look at the bottom, so it's going to take more than a second to dial in. I'll drag and go something like that. And let's say that I want my other operator envelope in between that area. So I'm going to switch that on, and I can actually put my overlay on so I see what the other area is. So I'm going to dial that up somewhere there, drag on it again. So I see the lines, so that's my number 3 and 4 that are sounding at the moment. I can just close this by pressing the X, and I'll dial up my number 1. I cannot use a modulator on this because it's not a normal operator sound. It's just a sound source that has changed from the sine wave into whatever was coming from rings. So this has no use at the moment, so I'll put that off. But so I can easily combine these, and I can still set the level at least for my rings. And of course it's mixing in with all of the options that the reverb itself can give you. So if I give it some really sort of ambient style and dial this back a bit, so now I hear the sound of rings at the beginning, and then DEXZ comes in with the rest. So something like that. And can it be used in a different way? Yes, it can, because now I use it as sort of a carrier, but I could obviously use it as a modulator. So if instead of sending it to operator 1 source, I'm going to send it to operator 2 source, now that same sound is a modulator. So my number 1, of course, is now a carrier. So that's this sound, and let's switch these off for a while so you just hear the I'm going to take back the release because that was very long. So, and there's a lot of reverb in there, of course. But now if I switch this on and dial this up, now this is actually modulating my number 1. So that means that since it's a monophonic sound, if I do something like this where I press 2 keys or a chord, it will distort because it cannot use that. It's only getting the one sound. So I'm sort of using a fixed operator actually instead of a polyphonic editor. But if I just use it with a single sound, and also if this would be any of the other sounds, then this operator has different effects than just using a normal sine wave. And this of course is still the level, so let's take these other in again. So there's a lot of stuff that you could do that way. You could use percussion or stuff like that, or metals or noise or whatever that you could put in there and modulate that to have effects, because the rest of the stuff is still there. So if I switch this off and use my modulator, my LFO, to use this on operator 2 on the level, level, where are we? Yeah, there we are. So, oops. And let's take it shorter. Not that short, or otherwise I don't hear it anymore. Maybe take the mix down. And I think I have set my volume wrong for the end part of this. Yeah, there was some volume in there. So you can hear that there is some effect in there. I would have wanted it differently. I would have wanted to use something like this as a real polyphonic sound source, but that just takes too much of the machine. I would probably get it to its knees if I wanted to try something like that. So I'm not going to do that. And this is probably the closest that I can get it. But still, it can be useful in combination. Or at least it gives you different effects than you would normally get. So I hope you like it, and I'll see you in the next update, in the next video. So cheers for now. Bye bye.